Welcome to This Explainer. All right, picture this. You're sitting at your desk at a massive international company. Suddenly, the phone rings. It's an unexpected call, the stakes are incredibly high, and the person actually in charge, totally unavailable. You are the one who has to answer it. Are you ready for that? Well, today, we're going to master the exact vocabulary and expressions you need for advanced business calls, client inquiries, and high-pressure telephone situations. We're giving you the absolute exact tools you need, especially if you're gearing up for the TOEIC B2 exam. Let's get into it.
So, do you know how to handle an urgent international business call? When the manager is out, it is entirely up to you to handle the situation professionally and accurately. A single misunderstood word can literally turn a simple, everyday request into a total corporate crisis. But hey, don't worry. By the end of our time together today, you'll have the exact linguistic tools to manage this scenario flawlessly.
Okay, let's dive into this. Here is the life cycle of a business call we'll be mastering today. We're looking at 1. The challenge, 2. The directory, 3. Disruptions, 4. Call protocol, 5. Mini missions, and we'll wrap up with 6. A final quiz.
First up, Part 1, the Business Phone Challenge. Let's figure out exactly who is managing the communication.
You know, in a corporate environment, titles matter immensely. We've got two critical roles here that are so often confused. First is the representative. This is a person who speaks or acts for a company or organization. Think of a customer service or sales representative who handles specific, detailed inquiries. On the flip side, a receptionist is the person who initially answers calls and greets visitors right at the front desk. Basically, the receptionist is the gatekeeper taking that first call and deciding where it needs to go next, while the representative is the one actually solving the specific business problem. Make sense?
Moving right along to Part 2, navigating the corporate directory.
Okay, so once the receptionist answers, here is your structured lifeline for routing a call. First step, check the directory. That's your official master list of names, phone numbers, and departments. Second, locate their extension. That's the additional internal phone number connected to the main office line. Now, here are two highly essential TOEIC expressions you've got to know. Before you route them, you must politely put someone on hold. Finally, you transfer a call or connect someone to a department to physically move that call from your desk over to the right representative.
Which brings us to Part 3, handling urgent disruptions.
Now, what's really interesting about this is what happens when the call isn't just a simple transfer. Well, this introduces a complication and a critical term, escalation. When a customer complaint or technical issue is just way too severe for the first line of defense, it requires escalation. It is the formal process of sending a problem up the chain of command to a higher level of authority, like a senior manager. Trust me, this is a critical, high-value term for resolving complex service issues in both the real world and on the TOEIC exam.
Let's group these crisis words together and see how they build a narrative. It's kind of like a domino effect. Imagine a failure of equipment. That's a malfunction. This equipment failure causes a stoppage in service, known as a disruption. A disruption naturally leads to a sense of urgency, meaning the absolute need to deal with something quickly. As the person on the phone, you must handle an urgent request. And if the problem continues to worsen, well, as we just learned, you escalate the issue. Seeing how these words connect like a puzzle makes them incredibly easy to remember.
All right, let's shift gears to Part 4, the art of phone protocol.
So, you've escalated the issue. Now what? Let's look at your official phone protocol to de-escalate things. First, you need verification and authentication. You know, checking that their account details are true and proving they actually have access to the system. Next, you apply courtesy, polite behavior, and give assurance, which is a statement that gives them total confidence the issue is going to be resolved. You might act as a liaison, communicating between departments, or provide a referral to send them to specialized help. If they have complex documents, you offer an interpretation of those policies. And what if the person they need is out? Easy, you ask them to leave a voicemail so you can request a call back from the manager.
And this brilliantly illustrates where the grammar of good protocol comes into play. When you need that verification we just talked about, sure, you could use a direct question. What is your account number? But listen to the indirect version. Could you tell me your account number? Switching from a direct to an indirect question instantly adds this essential layer of politeness to your protocol. It just sounds infinitely more professional, right?
Let's look at another one. Instead of the blunt, kind of demanding, "When will the manager return?" we use the indirect. Do you know when the manager will return? In telephone conversations, indirect questions are a seriously powerful grammar tool. They frequently appear in polite requests and customer service situations, which makes them a heavy favorite on the TOEIC exam. Always look for that softer, indirect phrasing.
Time to put this into practice. Part 5,
TOEIC practice mini-missions. Let's use these vocabulary weapons.
We've got the vocabulary and the protocol. Now let's test your skills. Check out this phone message from a Miss Olivia Grant. She is looking for technical support. The reason? A service disruption. The detailed message states that Ms. Grant reported a malfunction in the company's online ordering system. She requested a callback before 3 p.m. and noted the issue may require escalation if not resolved today. Notice how our crisis vocabulary is literally everywhere in this realistic task.
So, let's challenge your understanding of that message. Question 1. Why did Ms. Grant call? Well, based on the text, she called to report a service problem, specifically a service disruption caused by a malfunction. Question 2. What may happen if the issue is not resolved? The message clearly warned that the issue may be escalated to a higher level of authority. See? If you caught those key vocabulary words, these questions are an absolute breeze.
Now let's simulate the listening exam experience. Imagine you hear the receptionist say, "Good morning, Parker and Lane. How may I direct your call?" The caller replies, "I'd like to speak with someone in billing. I need clarification about an invoice." The receptionist then politely asks, "Of course. May I put you on hold while I transfer your call?"
Okay, based on that short dialogue, let's answer these questions. First, which department does the caller want? The caller explicitly stated they wanted to speak with someone in billing regarding an invoice. Second, what does the receptionist ask permission to do? Using proper phone protocol, the receptionist asked to put the caller on hold in order to transfer the call. Great job tracking that sequence. Let's move to part 6 and see how this builds. It's time for our final knowledge verification.
Let's permanently cement these terms with a rapid-fire quiz. I'll read 5 quick questions. Just mentally answer them as we go. Number 1. What word means a return phone call? Number 2. What is the word for checking that information is correct? Number 3. What do you call a failure of equipment or a system? Number 4. What is the phrase for sending a problem to a higher level? And number 5. Which structure sounds more polite? What is your name, or could you tell me your name? Got your answers locked in?
Okay, let's check your answers. A return phone call is a callback. Checking info is verification. Equipment failure is a malfunction. Sending a problem up the chain is to escalate the issue. And the more polite grammar structure? That's the indirect question. Could you tell me your name? So the crucial point here is that mastering these exact vocabulary words and expressions prepares you flawlessly, not just for the TOEIC B2 exam, but for real-life business calls. We have covered the corporate directory, navigated disruptions, applied proper protocol, and tackled TOEIC missions. Think back to that scenario at the very beginning. The person in charge is out. A crisis happens. Will you be ready the next time the phone rings with an urgent international escalation? Armed with this vocabulary, I believe you absolutely will be. Thank you so much for joining me in this explainer. Keep practicing, and I'll see you next time.